Well, this is a treat for us on the
Yes.
Waggle because we're normally talking players after practice, in between cold tub and film study. It's not often you get the leader of the organization, the president, someone that we have to call Mister. He shows up wearing a suit that is more expensive than anything
I
we
feel
own.
like I'm underdressed right now.
Looks like a full Windsor not there. So we have to go Mister. Thank you, Mr. Doman, for joining us.
Guys, thanks very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, it's been a pleasure for us to watch the infusion of energy and ideas that you've brought into not just your franchise, but the league. And so I'm curious what that onboarding process has been like. How much about the business did you know coming in? What were some of the blind spots that you learned? And what were some of the ideas that you had that you wanted to implement and hit the ground running right away?
Well, there was nothing really wrong with the business side of it. The business aspect of pro sports, the revenue streams, the costs, etc. It's not a very complicated business to understand, but what it needs is, in my view, is a lot of attention. It needs push, and it certainly needs community involvement. And just a little bit that got lacking a little bit out west. We clearly have been working hard and will continue to work hard to bring it back. There's nothing wrong with the CFL whatsoever. I said that day one. It's really about getting more eyeballs on it, getting more kids involved in it to really rebuild a fan base. It got a little bit lost. So we're certainly all in for this, and no real surprises. It's just been, rebuilding, the old line one fan at a time, and all that stuff is kind of what we're doing.
Oh man, that's awesome. And so coming in first year, first of all, Donnovan is talking about the infusion that you've had not just in BC but in the whole league, and we've exchanged a few words when you guys were here in Toronto, and I shared with you like, look, everybody in the league notices, and we're all talking about it, and we're happy and proud of how you are representing the league. But what you've obviously had success prior to coming in to this position, but in your prior positions, what is one thing that you feel like you prioritize and you feel like this is what I'm focusing on solely or mainly when it comes to the BC Lions?
Yeah, definitely a different business than the other things that we're involved with, and certainly, I think one thing it would be to, really focus on that exact fan. Like we focus on our customers, of course, and our other businesses, but this is a different experience. Really listening to, what they're saying, what the prices are, trying to make sure that we're affordable, we're relative to the markets, and also just making sure that no one comes to a game and feels like they've got to break the bank. And I'm trying to keep everything affordable within my limits that I can. And BC Place has really come to the table for us. So really listening to the fans, trying to say, hey, look, what can we do to make sure people come in and come back and really enjoy the experience? We've invested, as you know, heavily into bands. We've invested heavily into the dance teams, entertainment, bars outside, making it fun. So when you come to a BC Lions game, I'll tell you what, it's a great experience. I enjoy every time we're there at home, and frankly, I hope the other teams in the league, and a lot of them are now, are looking at different ideas as well, which is wonderful for the CFL.
Well, you talk about those other teams in the league, and that's one of the ways where this business is a bit different, where you are a franchise member, you're a franchisee, if you will, under this greater business, but you're also in some way fiercely competing against those other franchise members. You bring a lot of important things to the Board of Governors, obviously diversity and background and ideas and experience and some youth. But, in working with that, what's that been like to learn some of the business from some of the other owners who've been around, but also to implement some ideas that will help not only your franchise, but the league as a whole?
I think number one, coming into it, being the new guy there a couple of years ago now, coming actually just this month, just a few days ago, we took over the club. It seems like it's been longer, but it's only been 2 years. Certainly the class and polish of everybody involved at the Board of Governors level, including Randy, it's first class. Everybody is business-like. They're focused on the future of the CFL. What can we do to invest in the game? A lot of things, I had to, just kind of come in and listen and learn. But I also wanted to say, hey, look, there's some things that I think we should be doing, and you say those things behind closed doors, and let's try and get more investment into the league. So at the end of the day, the players and everybody, we can all do better. And I think that it's sitting right here for us. It just doesn't come overnight. We just all have to work at it. But I took a lot of knowledge, just on the rules. And there's a lot more to this than, me being an outsider before, now being an insider, that I really had no clue about. And everybody was first class in assisting me, getting me up to speed on the CFL.
So I still want to follow up on that because I keep hearing more investment, and you're at the point now where people are trying to get you to invest in companies. That's how big time you are. but often when you coming in and taking over a company, people are trying to be skinny, trying to be lean, trying to find, some synergies with other things that they're already doing. They're not trying to spend more. They're in fact trying to find margins and spend less. This is obviously a different business, but why is that your mindset, coming into sports, that you actually you want to invest?
You cannot cut your way to profitability, and I'll tell you, you cannot. And people have tried. You can do it short term. You can fool yourself, but at the end of the day, your business will erode, and you cannot keep taking money out and not putting it back in. The best businesses in the world, whether they're sports, whether they're an industry, whatever they're in, put money back in. They don't always schlep it all out and cut your way just to make more profits. Eventually you'll kill yourself. So for me, coming in, investing in a lot of different businesses over the years, this to me was no different on that strategy, which is put money in, keep putting money in, and making it an experience such that your customer base cares, feels it, and sees it, and also be visible. I think the best bosses in the world are visible. They come around, they travel, they're not hiding in an office. We're being very visible. Our management team's very visible, and accessible. Those are things that I think are just business 101s that'll never change in decades. And when I'm dead and gone, those things won't change. And I really believe them. And frankly, we've been successful using those business tenets that I just described.
Mr. Doman, you talked about the direction of the business. You talk about, where not just your team, but the league is headed. And I'm interested to ask, you see so many of the players, the big players that really help this league run, whether it's the league office and each team, as well as, the membership and the players and whatnot. In your mind, what is the future like for this league? What can you give the fans of this league as far as something that they can look forward to?
Sure. I think number one, the quality of the game has never been better. It's fantastic. I don't think the talent has been better. It is just a first-class league. Second of all, let's get to the ownership. So I think the ownership structures now across Canada are the best they've been in decades. We really have, I don't want to just say deep pockets. I want to say good pockets. We really do have the right ownership, I believe, across Canada. And everybody is paying attention to making their experience better. And I still, I believe there's going to be more investment going into the CFL. I believe and hope, I think we all do, that a 10th team comes in at some point, and I think that would be wonderful. I know Randy's working hard on that and in his team, and I think that would, it also shortens the season a couple weeks, which I don't think would break anyone's heart, cleans up a bunch of stuff. We've been waiting for this for a while, and I'm hoping that comes in. So I think these are pretty exciting things. So great ownership, great football, and maybe an expansion team. I'd say that's some pretty good stuff, gentlemen.
Nice.
That is all great stuff. I think one of the differences from when, certainly we watched the CFL as young kids, when you would have watched the CFL, in your early years, is we're now not talking about a national marketplace. We're talking about a global marketplace in terms of attention of economy and eyeballs. When you look around, whether it's in sports and entertainment, other leagues, other platforms, what are some of the things that you're seeing done well that you think, okay, since we're competing at that level, we can apply to our franchise, our game?
I think one of the best things about pro sports and live sports, let's call it that, there's a big moat around all of pro sports, whether it's the CFL, the NFL, NBA, whatever you want to talk about. There is nothing more exciting than being at a live event, right? I mean, let's face it, the crowd screaming, all that. You can't replace that. Now, these games have been on TV for a long time. I think streaming has to step up the game, and I think we've got to get there. And I think the CFL started that this year, where I'm traveling right now in the States, and you can watch your CFL game streaming. I think that's awesome. I think that's a great step forward, and I think we need more of that where it's accessible to kids. But at the same time, my job is to get those young kids into BC Place as much as possible, promote the heck out of flag football young, and really rebuild and build on the sport itself. And I think that just solves its own problems as you go forward, where kids want to come to games, they become teenagers, they're going with their parents, they remember the experience, let them run on the field after the game, stuff like that. Really get them engaged. I think that protects us going forward, no matter what's available for screens or streaming or games or whatever. Live is live, and there's nothing like it. Our job is to make that live experience the best it can be.
Before I can't let you go without asking this question. And when we got to meet, I saw, look, there's not a lot of things that we can, say we have in common with Mr. Doman. He talked about not his deep pockets, but his good pockets, maybe not there yet, right, DB? But one of the things that Donnovan and I both cherish and value is our families. Obviously, Donnovan, you with your wife and your sons, and myself with my wife and my three beautiful daughters. You also brought your family along. You brought your kids along. I got a chance to play with them a little bit, shake their hands. What is one of the main values that you prioritize and you'd like to see continually be prioritized across the league, not just now, but for the future as well?
I think that fan engagement's number one with the young kids. I bring my kids along a lot. I've coached football this year, and by the way, that gave me a lot of respect for football coaches. It is not easy stuff and super fun, but man, it's a lot, and it's just great. But coming back to your question, if we can just engage them more and have them around more, the kids just absorb what's around them, right? And you guys have got your kids, and you show them the way. Teach them to work hard. Be a team player, number one. And it sounds easy, but football teaches all of that. It teaches so much. And I really believe that, once we get our kids more and more involved, their friends get involved, it just kind of expands from there, quite frankly. And it's really about getting them involved all the time. But my role, number one, is always just work hard, right? So I teach all the kids to work hard, and let's start there with working hard. The rest just starts to happen. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life. And be that person that shows up early and leaves late. Be that person that gets up when you don't have to. Be that person that puts it in. And just like you gentlemen have been successful, there's no secret to it. You just have to get out there and do it. And if I can teach kids to do that, get them involved with football, whatever they want to do in life, if they want to be in the CFL, great. But come in and see a hard-working league like the CFL and see how beautiful it really is.
For a lot of those young kids, that mantra will lead them upwards in the game to the university level, and it might stop there, like it did for me, but you get a great education, a great experience. Sadly, as we know at Simon Fraser University, one of the great places where that was the case, is in jeopardy. You've been talking about community, really vocal and involved in rolling up your sleeves, as has Farhan Lalji. Just take us through one, how you learned that there might be an issue there, why you felt it was an issue that you potentially could help solve, and where are we now, with trying to get football back on campus?
Sure. So, number one, the thing that upset me the most was the way it was handled. And, look, number one, we knew that the NCAA thing was going to be coming to an end. They had a year's notice. And, the way the university, disseminated the news to the players during their exams, yanked the carpet out a year early and basically said, we're going to put you out of your misery now. It almost said that. It's disgusting. And it is not professional. It's not right. And I could not help myself but get involved and say, hey, hold it a minute here. First of all, that's offside. Number two, what is the real issue here? And have you explored options to take this great university football program with decades of history and taking it somewhere else to see what other opportunities there are? So we're told it's not a money thing. Then we're told, yes, we've explored all other options and there's nothing available, thanks, bye. So I'm not a guy that sits around and takes messages like that well when I know it's half-truths and maybe three-quarters, BS in my view. And so we just got into it. We got public with it. We had a bunch of support. I put some money in. Farhan's been amazing on getting vocal and getting deep involved, and a bunch of others in Vancouver and a bunch of people across Canada got involved to help save the program. We believe, the special committee's report will come out. Won't have a recommendation. I think have a menu of options. But we're really hoping that, call it Humpty Dumpty, can be put back together again for 2024 or 25 latest. But, obviously 23 is toast. But we have to start hiring coaches now for 24. And this has to get moving. And we'll do whatever we can to help protect that beautiful brand of football at SFU. And we're going to do whatever we can to get it back into youth sports, wherever it can go. I can't get that involved with that stuff, but what I can do is help funding. I can help things, whatever I can do off the field, I will do it to make sure this great program goes ahead. And if not, we're going to die trying.
No, absolutely. You talk about helping protect brands of football, and you gave some great examples of what your style of ownership is like out there in BC, and I guess some great as well direction as far as where the league is headed and how we can potentially get there. Everybody wants to be a part of something great. What would you suggest to, I guess, some of the players that want to also play a role in helping the league move forward? Maybe the players and the fans. How can we be in support and also play a role in creating something that all of us are really proud of?
Well, I think it comes down to each team in each city, really being brand ambassadors, having parties, have CFL parties, get the name out there and people will resonate to it more. I think the one thing we can't do is compare ourselves to the U.S. and to NFL and football's religion in different states, and it's different. So we're always going to have, there's hockey in Canada and all that. So let's be careful of who we wish we want to be. Let's set our expectations into a zone where we can hit our goals and then move them forward, 2-3 yards at a time. Let's not throw bombs into the end zone to try and get the CFL to be the NFL. We don't have the people. We're a small country, but let's have each city have big pride on what we're doing, or each province. And that's my goal with BC, is to have it BC's team. So I think we can just, if we start with ourselves, start with our friends, expand the message. We'll get the numbers up, and they're looking up this year, which is great to see. I really like the night games that have been going on, even on the Sunday nights. I'm not sure I liked last Sunday night's result, but certainly the Sunday night football is a cool thing that the CFL tried with TSN, and it's kind of nice to see the eyeballs coming back up on all of these games and attendance going up. So, obviously Edmonton's struggling, and that's a win-loss thing, and you don't wish that on any team to be in that kind of shape, but the fans will come back once the team starts winning again. And I think in other markets we're doing fine. The arrows are moving in the right direction, guys.
Henoc mentioned earlier about the family aspect of the franchise. You used the word pride. I saw those two things collide when, during a home game, your team decided to put Nathan Rourke's game-changing play in the preseason against, my Dallas Cowboys on for everyone to celebrate. And I thought it was a real cool moment because, everyone was really excited for him and for what has graduated through the program under you. The ability to embrace the fact that, we can love our league, but also, love, football elsewhere. I thought it was cool to see that intentional choice to do that. That shows me there's a greater culture there. What does that, embody for you?
I think it's exactly how you described it. Look, this is football. Whether it's this side of the border, that side of the border, you encourage everyone to be the best they can be. Go follow your dream. With Nathan, he was very, very special and, super, super honorable gentleman. There's just no way we could not do that. And, let's celebrate not only our game, but let's just celebrate the game. Football's amazing. So when you see things like that, our management team's doing a great job with things like that as well. It's first class. We just believe taking the high road, being a classy organization, all of those different things. And I think it just emulates right through the players, right through the locker room, everywhere. And then, frankly, the fans start to see a respectful organization, and that's something people are drawn to, I believe. So I think it just goes all over the place when it comes to class.
Here's my last question, Mr. Doman. And now I'm going to say this, and you might have to take the suit out and now put your coaching hat on, because you said you're coaching too, right? I'll put you on the spot, all right? Coach Doman. If you're coaching a defense, right? This is an ongoing conversation Donnovan and I have had, right? I'm going to put you on the spot.
This man's time is very valuable.
That's okay. That's okay. Coach Doman, the ball is in the air, the game is on the line, and your defensive back is about to make a play on the ball. What do you coach your defensive back to do? Are you telling him to bat the ball down or catch the ball confidently and finish the game?
Bat it down.
Bat it down.
Thank you. This is
I guess
this is
that's
a
why
man
you got
who
the
makes
good pockets.
this is a man who makes measured decisions. That he's outcome driven. He's not trying to be a hero. He's trying to make the right decision in the right moment. Thank you for setting Henoc straight on defensive football somehow. But I do want, though, to give you the opportunity to brag about your team a little bit. We're talking about the business of the league and business in general and the league. But your team lost 1A, 1B, the best player in the league a year ago, Nathan Rourke. Hasn't missed a beat. The team has transitioned under Vernon's play style and leadership beautifully. How do you feel about the team moving forward? Because I imagine for you, it's almost like, when you're getting ready for a wedding. The deposit is made, you've got the money, you're ready to celebrate, but you got to wait to the date. And you've got a team that it looks like it can compete for a Grey Cup, but you still got to wait a couple more months to get there. What's it like for you to watch this team week in, week out, but also watch the games and make sure you get through them healthy and whole?
Well, first of all, our coaching staff is first class. With Coach Campbell, RP, and the whole gang. They're an amazing group of people. So, full trust in what's going on there. And then certainly VA has just come in, just took the leadership role right on. I mean, he came in a difficult situation last year when Nathan went out and we traded for him. And VA comes in. He's become family to a lot of our offense and just taken on that leadership role. Like he's walked in and done it. He was playing pretty wounded the other day, and he just, he showed leadership and poise. He was probably hurting quite a bit, and he just kept battling 455 yards in that game. And I'll tell you what, he's just a true leader. So seeing the team growing together is just wonderful. I think one of the most important things we have is continuity of players. I think that's so important. You guys know that. And when you've got continuity of players and everyone's starting to have that taste of winning and starting to get there, it builds on itself. And this team is working very hard, and they're a true team, and you can see that in the wins and losses and how they act with each other. And it's wonderful to watch and very exciting. And I'll tell you, it's just nice to see them competing hard. And we just want to have a competitive football team on the field week in, week out.
And lastly, I'd be remiss before we let you go, given your sense of pride in the region and community, and you talk about the fact that it's BC's team, it's not Vancouver's team, to talk about what's going on in the Okanogans right now, and even north of there, and the amount of people who are displaced and struggling, or in real danger. For us removed, we can get a little numb to it, sadly, of seeing the news and seeing fires in the summer. But someone who's there, who understands that it's not just the mainland's team, it's the entire province's team. What has that been like, and what, if anything, can the team, the league, other Canadians do to help and support?
Well, I think number one, our sympathy goes out for so many people that have lost their homes. I mean, you can't imagine that. Yeah, it's a news blurb, and then you kind of go back to your life. But out in BC, it's reality. There's smoke in the air. It's just it's terrible. And the situation of people that aren't insured. I mean, they're wiped out. What we can do is try to donate, try to help, take people in, do whatever you can to help someone that's displaced. And there's thousands displaced right now, and they could be displaced for a while. There's more fires still burning, and it's a very, very terrible situation. And I think we can all help our neighbor, and I think that's the most important thing you can do at this point in time. And a bunch of money doesn't fix a lot of stuff because things are burning. There's insurance problems. There's all these things. Rebuilds are horrible and painful. The worst part is your house is gone, and then the second worst part is trying to get it rebuilt. It's just a very, very hard road. So I think help your neighbors, do whatever you can, bring them in, and really take care of each other. That's what we have to do right now in BC.
Well said. You're absolutely a breath of fresh air in this league, absolutely. And to be honest with you, we often talk in football, leadership and success of a team starts from the top. And evidently now we're able to see the success of the BC Lions starts way above just the players and the coaching staff. It starts from you, and thank you for the leader that you are, the leader that you are, but also the coach part-time that you are, and everything that you're doing, not just for the BC Lions, but for the province of BC.
Guys, thanks very much. We've got a great team all the way through, whether it's players, management, everything. So we're a fortunate group out west, and I want to thank you guys for having me on today.